Well, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here, and it's time for the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast. And I think some of you all beat me to the chat, and I'm just so happy about that. I'm only here for 1,800 seconds, you all. I'm excited about this evening's conversation. You all know this channel is about motivation, about inspiration. It's about challenging us to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It means that we took a look at today. Doesn't mean that today was a flop. As a matter of fact, as we look at today, we're naming all of our successes, all of our victories, all of our blessings, all of that good stuff. But we're trying to parlay that into something even better tomorrow. All right. And so I want to make sure that somehow we are encouraged and we are inspired to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. What we usually do, we take some quotes from my 7th book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 Daily Sources of Motivation and Inspiration Along the Highway of Life. And so it is about inspiring each other. It is about inviting each other to become fellow passengers. We do that, but we usually start with a thought, with a provoking thought. And I want to ask you this, just to get your juices flowing and your thoughts just sort of flowing. I want to ask you this. Do you know how to ask for what you want? Do you know how to ask for what you want? I want to talk about that and a few other things right after this. Meanwhile, if this is your first time, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And by the way, do a thumbs up on the conversation and invite people to come on to the conversation because we have some stuff to talk about tonight, you all. Go and tell somebody we're on and invite them to come on and let's talk to Cutler. I'll be right back.
Let's talk to Cutler. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler.
All right, you all, I'm glad to be here. It's September the 9th, and the week is moving, the month is moving, the year is moving, all that kind of stuff. And I'm excited about being here. I'm glad for another day. And again, if you're just joining the conversation for the first time, go ahead and just subscribe to my channel. Why don't you? Because I'm only here for 1,800 seconds every Tuesday and Thursday, unless you all sometimes try to push me and compel me to stay here a little longer. But I want to thank you all for sharing this space. Also, I have to shout out the LTTC VIPs. Those are the people who tend to jump right on in the chat first. So I got to shout them out. The top 3 who just jumped into the chat are Mick Diner. Thank you, Mick Diner. Thank you so much. She says, good evening. Tracy Johnson says, hey, everyone, get ready to ride. Annie Cutler said, get aboard. Let's ride. I also want to encourage all of us, my fellow passengers, those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, or even if you just peruse by my channel, I want to encourage you to join us in sending out prayers and positive thoughts for one of our fellow passengers who asked us to remember her and her co-workers in prayer because the positive cases are all in the midst. So I want us to be aware of that. Thank you so much, Natural Diva, for putting that in the chat. We'll make sure that we keep you in our thoughts and our prayers, not only you, but your co-workers as well, because that's what we're here for, right? We are here just for that, to be community and to not only to be our brothers and our sisters keeper, but to actually be our brothers and our sisters. I hope you all like that. That song, that theme song keeps me going every time. You know, I wish I could sing it, but I'm not going to do that. I'll let the singer sing. I'll let the composer compose. So a shout out to my friend Juan for putting that together, my friend Devin for doing the singing. Well, they both did the singing. Juan put that together. So thank you all so much for that. Listen, you all, what we usually do, we read, we tend to read 2 or 3 quotes, but you all know we've been doing this for so much until we're almost at the end of the cycle. One of the things that we do is to look at the quotes that are in this book, but also I've looked at some of the quotes that you all sent me via email. I love them. And I think what we're going to do this evening is spend a lot of time talking about our ability to call for what we want. So today is the 9th, which means we would typically read the quote for the 8th, 9th, and the 10th. But what I want to do this evening is just to focus on one quote, if that's all right with you all. I want to focus on one quote, and that is the quote for September the 10th. That is the quote for September the 10th. And the quote for September the 10th is, When I want sympathy, I complain. When I want strength, I commune. When I want sympathy, I complain. When I want strength, I commune. It's all about how you say what you say. And let me just say this, you all are already in the midst of the conversation and in the midst of the thought for this evening, as our friend Natural Diva, who just put a request in the chat. So as we're talking about, when I want sympathy, I complain. When I want strength, I commune. One of the things that we'll see that this quote is all about, you all, it's about community. It is about community. And beyond that, let me just go back and talk from a very broad perspective and a broad scale. This quote is an admonition for us to make sure that we know what we want in life, to make sure that we know what we want at any time, and to make sure, you all, that any given situation, we know what we want. It's an admonition for us to know what we want from people. That's why I'm already enjoying the chat so quickly, because one of our fellow passengers indicated what she needs, what she wants, and you all are responding. And this quote is very much in tune and aligned with that. It is about making sure that you know how to ask for what you want. And I can tell you all, one of my greatest frustrations used to be when I expected certain things, certain responses, certain reactions from people, and they didn't meet my expectations. I would want prayer, and I would want positive thoughts. I would want a certain reaction, a certain response, and I didn't get that. And it would frustrate me to no end. And what I had to realize was that sometimes people were not meeting my expectations, perhaps because I had not been clearly communicating them. That's what this quote reminds me of. I think we sometimes hold people hostage to things and to circumstances and situations when we might not have adequately communicated them. Let me ask you all this. Speaking of, do you know how to communicate what you want and your thoughts and all that kind of stuff? Have you ever been upset and disappointed with someone? And then when you finally told them why you were upset, their response was, "What? Why didn't you tell me that?" Or why didn't you ask me that? Or why didn't you tell me that was what you needed? Or why didn't you tell me that was what you wanted? Have any of you ever had that situation, that circumstance? And I don't know about you, I would end up all frustrated and flustered and furious and irate and irascible and every other word you could think of that meant angry. Why, you all? Because there I was thinking that I had communicated, but the other person didn't understand. The other person didn't understand. And let me just put a plug in here and say this, you all. Since we're talking about challenging each other to communicate better, I have to put this plug in here because we challenge each other to show up better sometimes. And I know that there are times when people will pretend that they don't know what you were talking about, or they pretend that they don't understand what you were saying. But I want to talk about those who might legitimately not understand what you were saying, what you were asking, what you were requesting, what you were expecting. If that is the case, you all, sometimes it is somewhere along those lines we just haven't communicated effectively. And that is the truth of the matter. Sometimes we may not have communicated effectively. So if we're talking about being challenged so that we can show up better, here's some food for thought. Let's stop getting upset with people when they don't understand us. But rather, let's challenge ourselves to see if we could have communicated possibly just a little more clearly than we did. Let's think about it. Could I have communicated a little more clearly than I did, right? Did you all just get an alert across your screen? please let me know that. Let me know if you all got an alert because I want to make sure that hackers are not trying to hack in. All right. So just bear with me just a second here and let me know if I think maybe somebody's calling me to tell me that something went on. But let me know if something just flashed across your screen. All right. Let's see. All right. It looks like there's a file that came in. Just a second, you all. Let me see if I can see what's going on. Let's see here. Let's see what is happening here. I'm just kidding you all. That is not a false alert. That is not a false alert. Really, I'm just having a little fun. I want to let you all know what's going on. And Natural Diva, you're right. You, my friend, are right on it. You are right on it. Because when you talk about these COVID cases, you all, there's something that just came out. I promise I'll get back to our quote and I'll finish it. But as many of you may know, that today, President Biden signed an executive order mandating federal employees and federal contractors to be vaccinated or to suffer disciplinary actions on the job. I hope that you all saw that. And I sort of want to find out what you all think about that. But let me just tell you all what it means. The president signed this executive order that says federal employees, federal contractors have to be vaccinated or they suffer disciplinary actions. And it's not limited, you all, just to, we got to be informed here. It's not limited just to the federal employees and federal contractors, but he's also in conversations with the Department of Labor so that the Department of Labor at some point will require companies that have 100 or more employees to require that they are vaccinated or that they are tested weekly for COVID. So that could affect non-civil servants as well. The issue here, there's so many issues, you all, and this is a hot topic, and I want us to be able to discuss this because what happens in the case of non-compliance? If somebody is non-compliant and they say, listen, I'm not getting vaccinated, what happens? Do they get terminated? And you all sort of give me your ideas. If they get terminated, are they eligible for unemployment? It's a whole lot that goes into this. And are we at the point where doctors are able to deny services for people or treating people who have not gotten the vaccination? So we need to think about a whole lot. And what I want to invite you all to do, I want to invite you all next Tuesday when we come on. I want to invite you all to come on because it is true. The Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, we're just going to go to court. So I want you all to get your pleadings, your responses, your testimonies, your interrogatories, your depositions, all of that stuff. I want to invite you all to come on with me live. Maybe for 1 or 2 minutes at the most. I want you to come on live with me and give me your opinions because as a community, I want us to talk about it. And let me just say this, every opinion will be respected. Every opinion is going to be respected. So what I'm going to do is I want to send you all my email address because if you are interested, I'm going to send you a personal invitation to join me. So send me an email and let me know, hey, Cutler, I want to come on. I want to testify. I want to give my response. I want to give my pleadings, my interrogatory, my deposition. I want to give all of that because I want to hear from you. And I tell you why I want to hear from you all, because there's so many stories. There's so many positions on both sides of the equation. There are people who are for the vaccination. There are people who are against the vaccination. People against the vaccination. There was one ESPN reporter today who just came out and said, listen, my husband and I, we're consulting with a fertility specialist, and I don't know how it's going to affect our ability to conceive and produce. On the other side, you have people who are saying, listen, look, you all know the 7-day average of this, it's over 1,500 deaths a day. It's worse than it was a month ago. Then you have people saying, listen, it's my body, my rights. Then you have others who are saying, well, listen, I'm afraid to even send my children out into a world that's not vaccinated. Then you have people saying, it's my freedom of religion, my freedom of this, my freedom of that. Then you have other people saying, well, listen, those of you who are exercising that freedom, it's 80 million of you all who are holding the rest of the world in the eye of this storm that's called a pandemic. So I want to know what you all think. I want to know what you all think. Then you have some of the elderly people who remember the Tuskegee experiment. You know, they may or may not have all the details, but they remember that. And for whatever reasons, that fear and anxiety kick in, you all. I want to hear what you all have to say. I want to know what you all have to say. Would some of you be willing to come on with me next Tuesday, just for like a minute or so, and share your opinions? And I promise you this, you will not be disrespected. You will not be disregarded. Because once you get an invitation, you know, I'm going to entreat you as if you're me, and nobody gets to disrespect you. I'd love for you all. Somebody. So if you're interested, just send me an email to talk2cutler, the number 2 cutler @gmail.com. If you're interested, please, yes, make sure. And I see two of you so far. 3 of you, looks like 2 of you so far who said yes, you will. So listen, you all take that email and let me know. I'm telling you, Let's Talk to Cutler really is going to court. Tell me this though, did that announcement startle you all? Did it startle you? Let me play it again. Let me just play that one more time. It's not a false alarm. It's not a false alarm. But so I do have to say this, and let me tell you why I believe in divine moments. I believe in ordered steps. I find it so interesting that on a very serious note, and so I'm certainly not downplaying this. On a very interesting note, one of the first things that one of our fellow passengers mentioned was COVID and asked for prayers. And I thought it interesting that somewhere in my heart, I had already thought that we have to discuss this. We've got to talk about this. We talk about everything else. And one of the things that I vowed to do is to open our forum so that we can talk about anything, talk about it in an intelligent manner, and be thoughtful and considerate of each other. And so Natural Diva, thank you for putting that out there. You really, my friend, opened the floor. You opened the floor for that conversation that would take place next Tuesday. COVID is not a friend of any of ours. You're absolutely right, Queen of them all. COVID is not a friend of any of ours. And so we're going to talk about, as a community, our thoughts, and we're going to process our thoughts. Is that all right? Because this really is serious business, and it is a serious matter. All right, so you all do me a favor. Do me a favor. I see some of you, you're looking forward to the conversation, and I'm glad that you are. And I think, let's see, this individual may have joined us before, and I don't know if I were in a position to say thank you. Arm Envy Wristwear. You all do me a favor and say a special hello to Arm Envy Wristwear. This might be your first or second time, but thank you nonetheless for joining us this evening for the conversation. All right. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but I want to go ahead and resume. I'm going to take my email down because now you all should have it. Let's go ahead and take that down. But I want to resume our conversation as we're talking about this whole notion of how to communicate. And do we know how to ask for what we want? All right. Do we know how to ask for what we want? Because, right. Natural Diva, we're going to talk about all of that. And speaking of, do you know how to ask for what you want? And make sure that when you ask for something, if the person does not respond the way that you thought that person should have, examine yourself and you say to yourself, maybe I did not communicate properly. Maybe I didn't communicate clearly. Don't always put it on the other person and say, okay, so you just didn't understand what I was asking. You didn't meet my expectations. And let me tell you this, you all. I had an incident earlier today where I wanted to get upset with an individual for not sharing with me some details that I thought that I had asked. And guess what, you all? only to discover, only to discover that I had not clearly asked for those details. y'all know, y'all know it was hard for me to accept the fact that perhaps I had not clearly communicated. But in the nature of being transparent, I knew that I couldn't be better tomorrow unless I accepted my flaws today. And that's another whole note. That's another whole segment. So let me just say that, you all, you don't get better in the future until you can accept your flaws in the present. You all know when I chat with you all and have these conversations, as I'm sharing one quote, another quote will come to mind. So somebody make a note of that. You don't get better in the future until you can accept your flaws in the present. All right. So we're talking about the ability to communicate. And even as we look further at this quote, when I want sympathy, I complain. When I want strength, I commune. It's all about how you say what you say. There is something else. There is something else in this quote, you all. It is the power of community. This is a reminder that there is strength in community. Why? No man is an island unto himself. Where there's unity, there is strength. There is strength in numbers. We are more collectively than we are individually. All of those idioms, all of those expressions, you all of those expressions are true. And this is not to suggest, so when we look at this quote, I want to be very clear. This is not to suggest that there's anything wrong with needing, wanting, or requesting sympathy. I have to be very clear about that. There is nothing wrong with indicating, requesting, or expressing that you want or need sympathy. Because there are sometimes, many times, when sympathy is quite appropriate and sympathy itself is strengthening. But when you want outside of sympathy, when you want strength, when you want to be stronger than your current situation and your current moment, it's about knowing what you want in the moment, you are. That's when you learn how to understand and change what you're calling for. And here we go. You've got to know what you're calling for, and you have to be able to call it. You all know we're on word guard, and what we say matters. So understand what you're calling for, because what you call for will show up. How can I put this? If you want Mexican food, stop flipping through the Chinese menu. Okay, Cutler, that sounds ambiguous. Here is the thing. Our actions have to be congruent with our words. And our words have to be congruent with our expectations. Actions got to line up with your words, and your words got to line up with your expectations. It is the same way in every facet of our lives, whether it is our physical lives, our spiritual lives, our emotional lives, y'all. Our words have to be congruent with our actions, and our words have to be congruent with our expectations. They just have to be. Because if you want strength, but you sit in isolation, guess what? Sadness and sorrow are bound to show up. But if you want community, if you call on community, strength will show up every time. I don't know how long it will last, you all, but it will show up. And then don't mess around. Speaking of community, don't mess around. Y'all know I'm from the country. Don't mess around and call for a community of like-minded individuals and people who believe what you believe, because not only will strength show up, but so will joy and hope and goodness and promise and all those other things. They'll show up. So what is my inspiration? What is my motivation? What is my encouragement? My encouragement, you all, is for us to dial the right number this week. Communicate clearly and call for what you want. Dial the right number, communicate clearly, and call for what you want. And as you all know, as you know, because we're on word guard, we have looked at C. We've looked at the letter C. We've looked at what other letter did we just look at? The letter B. And so what I want to do is offer us this evening the letter G. The letter G. And I want you all to give me some words that begin with the letter G that indicate positivity, that speak positivity over everything and everybody that is a part of our lives. All right? And I want you to use I am, or I have, or I statements beginning with the letter G. You all start putting them in the chat, and as you put them in the chat, I'll try to expound on them as best as I possibly can. But while you're putting them in the chat, I think of things on Word Guard Positivity that speak positivity over my life and over the lives of people who are connected to me, are things like gifted. I am gifted. We are gifted. It means that we have exceptional talent and abilities. Don't downplay us because we are gifted people. Even when you, thank you, Tracy, for getting us started. Even when we think of words like grateful, it means I've learned to be thankful. I am appreciative. I recognize when blessings, great or small, come into my life. I am grateful. I think of other words you all just keep giving them to me, but while you all are feeding them to me, I have a few of my own. I think of things like gallant. I am brave. I am heroic. I'm not a pushover. I think of those things. It is wonderful to be grateful, to have a sense of appreciation, to have a sense of thankfulness. Come on, you all start feeding me these words. I think of words like I am generous. Think of all your G words, your positive words, you all. Generous. I don't mind giving to others. I don't mind helping other people. I'm generous because I have been blessed to have, blessed to get. And I'm thankful to be able to give. Right. Linda, I think you and I, we were thinking about it at the same time. Yeah, yes, I love the word natural diva. Absolutely right. When you think about what I have grace. Grace means that I have favor. I have favor upon my life. And I don't necessarily always deserve it divinely from a divine perspective, but I'm glad to have favor. And even in a natural perspective, I want you to understand that you have grace on your life. Women, you have grace. You have this elegance and this charm. That's why you are graceful. Carry yourselves every day as if you are graceful and you are endowed with grace. Word Guard, speaking positive words. I am glad. I see you, Lynn. I'm glad, which means I'm pleased and I'm delighted with what's going on. You all learn to be happy about life every day when you wake up. Learn to be glad. Learn to be glad to be alive. Wake up and say, listen, I'm just glad to be here. I'm pleased about what's going on. No, I haven't faced the whole day yet, but guess what? I'm glad about it. And then when you get to the end of the day, you say, listen, I'm glad that I experienced it. No, I didn't. Everything was not wonderful. I didn't walk the rose bed of ease. It was not ease on down the road. But guess what? I'm glad that I had the experience. And then Tracy, you're absolutely right. Come on, y'all, with these G words. Look at yourself on. It is an insult when you don't recognize that you are a gorgeous human being. That means you're beautiful inside and out. And I told you all that when you say, listen, I'm beautiful, it means that you understand that you are an asset to your surroundings. Every time you show up, you intensify the beauty of where you are. And that's why we say some people are beautiful inside and out, because it means that I'm an asset to my surroundings. You have to realize that. And then when you realize that, listen, I am God's gift. I am God's gift. I was called to this thing called creation and this thing called earth for a specific reason. I am a gift to the earth. I was sent here, called here to make a difference. Do you not know that you are here to make, when God wanted to change what was going on in the world, he called you out of eternity into time and said, now it's your time to show up on the earth. Make a difference. Make a difference. And then when you say, I'm grounded, I know how to manage my time. I know how to navigate this thing that's called time, and I have a real perspective of who I am, where I've been, and where I'm going. My priorities are settled. My priorities are all in line with purpose and with destiny. I'm grounded. I got this thing together. Me and God, we got this thing together. I'm glorious because God in creation has smiled on me. Y'all, you got to see that. You're goal-oriented. I'm just trying to give us a few G words. That's all. I'm just trying to give us a few G words that I am a gem. I'm valuable. I'm goal-oriented. I'm focused. I'm glowing. I shine wherever I go. I have the ability to shine darkness and shine light in every dark situation. Yes, I am good. I am goodness. And you all, sometimes we downplay the word good. Because do you know that the word good just simply means that somebody approves of me? That's all it means. That is why when God looked at the evening and the morning and said the day of the first day, and he said that it is good, he approved of it. And do you know that you are goodness personified? Because he approves of you. That's why we have words like you're good enough, and you're good looking, and you're good hearted, you're good natured, and you're good humored. You are approved of. You got to understand that. You are approved of. And then when you say, listen, I'm a go-getter, I'm not lazy, I'm walking toward destiny, I'm discovering purpose, I'm energized, I'm motivated. There's this fire in my life to stay on a trajectory of accomplishing and to becoming better. I am growth, I am growing. It means I'm not stagnant. I'm developing and I'm improving, I'm maturing, I'm in the process. I'm gutsy. I have determination. I have courage. All of those things. You all, we are on word guard. I think it was Tracy who said when we first started that there is going to be a test at the end of September. So this is a September to remember. You all guard your words. Rather, guard your life with the words that you speak out of your mouth. Guard your life with the words that you speak out of your mouth. And learn to use these I statements. I am, I have, I am becoming. Learn to use all of those words. And don't forget, we're going to stay on word guard, you all. For the rest of the month, we're going to stay on word guard. And as a community, we're going to resist negativity. We're going to embrace positivity. We're going to resist the death that comes out of our mouths, and we're going to embrace life. And remember, we are going to learn as we are processing. Sometimes when the negativity starts to come out of our mouths, we have learned how to shift and transition our language. So when negativity comes out of our mouths, when negativity comes out, we're transitioning our language with words like but, and we're going to end it with something good because it's ending on a positive note. When something negative comes out of our mouths, we're going to transition it with something like however, and end on a positive note. When negativity comes out of our mouth, we're going to shift and transition it by using something like nevertheless or nonetheless and end on a positive note. I want to thank you all for sharing the space. Wherever you've invited me for these 1800 seconds, I want to say thank you. I don't take it for granted. I hope that you all have enjoyed the conversation. If you have, do me a favor, do a thumbs up on the conversation. It says to YouTube, I like what that guy's talking about. It also says to me that you are encouraged by our conversation, that you are encouraged by our conversation. I want to let you know this, that as we are getting ready to go to court, and as you are preparing your testimonies, your responses, your depositions, your interrogatories, your testimonies, I want you all to know, please email me by Sunday. Today is Thursday, so email me by Sunday. That'll give me a chance to send you all those personal invitations and send you the contact information so that you can come on live. And I promise you again, you will be respected. You will be entreated as a guest and as a fellow passenger. You all, please make sure that we keep each other in our positive thoughts and our prayers. All right. Listen, do what we always do. Let's do what we always do. Let's continue, as we talked about it this evening, let's continue building community, maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up, but more than that, keep your hopes up. As we now know, and as we continue to know, this pandemic is real, you all. Make sure that you stay safe. Don't let anybody or anything drive you crazy, run you out of your mind. Stay sane. Please don't forget to email me. Let me know if you'd be interested in coming on and talking with me and sharing your testimony, because we want to hear from you. And until Tuesday, please know this, you all, that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Make sure that you all have a good evening.